Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us tonight as we discover Japan. It's really hard to believe that it was 6 months ago that we did our first Japan evening, and we've been listening to your feedback, and so many people have requested that we do another Japan evening. I mean, Japan has been really popular for us for bookings for next year, and actually right up to the end of 2023. And just after having a wee preview at the presentation tonight, it's not hard to understand why. So tonight we're joined by Wendy Wu Tours, and we have two Johns. We have John Booty, who is on the screen at the minute, and John's going to be coming on after the formal presentation just to go through with a couple of the itineraries that he has done himself, also tell you about a very special offer that we have. What you can do is, if you want to ask any questions, just type them in to the Q&A bar. I know a couple of people have sent questions in by email. So we're going to start tonight's presentation by handing over to John Moore from Wendy Wu Tours, and then we'll see at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name's John. I'm the Global Sales Director at Wendy Wu Tours. What I'd like to do in the next 10 minutes is invite you to celebrate what Japan is all about, and hopefully invite you to fully understand why every single one of us needs to visit Japan at some point, at least once, at some point in our lifetime. So some of you might remember Joanna Lamley had recently a documentary on Japan, and she had this to say about Japan. Every moment was thrilling, fascinating, and often very moving. With my hands on my heart, I can say, please come with me to Japan. And of course, today we want to extend that invitation to you as well. So enjoy, sit back, enjoy the next 10 minutes, and let's fully understand what is so special and why over 32 million people visited Japan in 2019. So there are so many reasons to visit Japan, whether it's to see the Himeji Castle in the background there, whether you want to visit the cherry blossom in March and April, whether you'd like to go and see the autumn leaves in September and October, whether you want to see some sumo wrestlers in May and September, if you want to have an opportunity to do a tea ceremony, for example, or visit some of the wonderful gardens that are so that Japan is so famous for, whether you want to visit all the shrines and the temples in places like Kyoto. So many reasons to visit Japan. So, you know, in essence, Japan has got such wonderful places to see, like the Golden Pavilion Temple, Golden Leaf Temple, for example, in Kyoto. And of course, the food is exceptional. We'll talk about the food in more detail later on as well. It's very varied, of course. And one of Japan's most famous iconic elements to see, which is Mount Fuji, 3,776 meters, an iconic mountain, which is very important to the Japanese and the Japanese culture as well. So where do I start actually? Most of us have a very limited amount of time on our hands, and I would urge that if you are able to visit Japan for longer than a week, than 10 days, than 17 days, we have extended tours, 21-day tours, for example, which enables you to see a little bit more of Japan. But if your limit is up to 17 days, don't worry, because in this particular tour, our Japan Uncovered, which is our most popular tour to Japan, you are able to see as many of the sites as possible, the most important iconic sites in the whole of Japan. So what does this tour do? Well, for most, you're going to be spending about 2 nights in most of the destinations. You will arrive at the airport, and we believe that a full inclusive tour has to be full inclusive in the true sense of the word. So when you arrive at the airport in Tokyo or Osaka, wherever you fly to, whichever part of the UK, Ireland you fly to as well, you will be met by somebody and taken to your hotel. Now, some people prefer to arrive a couple of days earlier, which is fine, to acclimatize, which is okay as well. Alternatively, flight permitting as well, you can arrive the day before the tour, and then the guide will arrange to meet all of you at the airport, at the hotel at first thing in the morning to introduce themselves, and they will look after you, by the way. They will stay with you for the whole duration. So a full inclusive tour with Wendy Wu Tours, of course, includes all the food. We'll talk about some of the wonderful food you're going to experience in Japan, all the hotel accommodation, and again, we'll talk a little bit about that shortly, all your guiding and all your sites. And you will travel, of course, by bullet train on the majority of our tours. It's an absolute must at amazing speeds. You will travel by boat when you cruise down the rivers, for example, and you'll also travel by a local coach as well. So a little bit about the accommodation. The accommodation in Japan is 3 to 4 star overall. And what you will find that in some of the busier cities like Tokyo, for example, massive population, 32 million, you will find some of the more modern accommodations that you'll be staying in. Then further up, as you progress on the store, traveling from the south to the west, up to the north, to the Japanese Alps, and then back to the east as well, you will stay more in some of the rural areas and more traditional accommodation as well. So here's just some of the examples of the accommodation you'll be staying in Japan. Now, we talked about the food, and I guarantee, I promise you that you will not be disappointed. Every meal in Japan is an adventure, and the guides are there to explain the, what is behind every meal and every item of ingredient, if you like. So if you go to Osaka, for example, which is known for this wonderful dish called okonomiyaki. Okonomiyaki in Osaka is made out of cabbage. And when you move to Hiroshima, okonomiyaki here is made with noodles. If you then head off, for example, to places like Takayama in the north, you will sample the Hida beef. So we can guarantee you that wherever there is a local dish, wherever you are, you will be sampling that dish for lunch and dinner. Breakfast generally are a mixture of Japanese and also Western food as well. Of course, if you go to places like Koyasan, which is very spiritual and a Buddhist part of Japan, then the meals are predominantly vegetarian. And what you will see here is in a lot of cases, when you're presented with food at lunch or at dinner, the food will be presented in this particular order. So you'll have a number of dishes to choose from, but I guarantee that there will be ample of food, and you will love every minute of it. The food is very special in Japan. Of course, we talked about cultural experience, and this tour is very much about enjoying everything Japan has to offer from a cultural point of view. So in this tour, for example, we include wasabi tasting, and you'll have a chance for the guide to explain why wasabi is such an important ingredient to the Japanese. We'll do some washi paper making as well, really traditional washi paper making. So we want you to enjoy those experiences that are very relevant now. And some of the cultures, unfortunately, are starting to die down. But we make sure that you make the most of your trip in Japan. You know, the traditional tea ceremony is something that you will experience. And again, this is a ritual, if you like, that started off in the 9th century. It was introduced by a Buddhist monk who brought tea first to Japan from China. Everything seems to start in China in terms of, the monetary system and everything else. So the tea ceremony is very important, and you will experience the traditional tea ceremony. And even when the warriors used to come back from fighting, they used to come back and they used to go through the tea ceremony just to relax their mind. And you'll see and you'll enjoy this, one of the most traditional cultures in Japan as well. Of course, we have Himeji Castle here, a really beautiful castle built in 1333. And you'll stop and see this castle on the way to Hiroshima. Now, by the way, if you were born in 1871 or you were around in 1871, you could have bought this castle for 23 Japanese yen, which is the equivalent of about $2,000. So there you go. If you were born there, you would have been able to own this castle. But in a way, I'm glad you weren't, because you wouldn't be here on this presentation, hopefully enjoying what Japan has got to offer. So again, the guide will be with you. It's the most visited castle in the whole of Japan. And of course, we will make sure that you will visit the castle as well. By the way, this is also a UNESCO heritage site. And then, of course, we spend a couple of nights in Hiroshima, and Hiroshima is very serene. and the guide will talk you through. And you know, for a lot of people, Hiroshima is actually one of the most special places to visit for the reasons that we know as well. Gardens are exceptionally important in the culture of Japan, and Japan has the finest gardens. We'll take you to the finest gardens in Japan, but in actual fact, in Japan has one of the finest gardens in the world, and you will see some of these wonderful gardens, which again, you know, sort of exude that tranquility and peacefulness as well, and harmony. We head up to the Yudanaka area up in the north, and you will see these wonderful snow monkeys, really beautiful creatures. Apparently the male tends to live a lot longer than the female. Don't ask, and I'm not going to make any comments on that either, but the male, as I understand, lives for about 12 years, the female for 6. But what a life to be a snow monkey, enjoying the hot springs, the natural hot springs, basking in that warmth. We all like to be warm, don't we, sort of all of us, and enjoying that, and you know, sort of pruning kind of each other and enjoying each other's company. So you'll be able to see the snow monkeys in a hot spring. By the way, you'll also get a chance to experience a hot spring in Japan, but you'll pleased to know that you're not going to be joining these particular snow monkeys on that hot spring as well. So here we are. These are macaques, if you like. They don't have too many predators. You know, some of their predators are sort of wild dogs, if you like, but you know, they look very peaceful and tranquil, and I'm sure a couple of these are currently doing a bit of Zen Buddhism meditation as well. Now, this picture was taken in May. There is a festival in May, a floral festival. So if you happen to be there to travel in the month of May, you will see this wonderful floral display just below Mount Fuji. People say, John, when is the best time to travel to Japan? Well, our tours kick off in March and April for the cherry blossom in particular, sort of, and then all the way through to May. And then we start off again in September, all the way through to November for the autumn leaves. It is a little bit too hot, as you will probably see when you'll see the Olympic Games in July and August. So we don't travel in that time. But if you wanted to do a private tour or a tailor-made itinerary, if that's the only time that you can travel, then we can arrange that for you as well. But our tours run from March to May, and then from September all through to the month of November. And I've traveled to Japan quite a few times at different times of the year. I was very lucky enough to spend 3 months in Japan in April, May, June a few years ago, and then I went back last year towards the end of September and beginning of October. So from there you'll move on to Tokyo, which is an amazing city. Again, you can see here the blend between the modern and the old. We'll take it at Sky Tower, which gives you an immense view of the whole of Tokyo. And you spend 3 nights in Tokyo before heading home. Cherry blossom season, really, really beautiful. Can I just say, we have had to add additional tours for the cherry blossom, and we've also added additional tours in September 2021 and also for 2022. Because if you think about everybody who is due to travel to Japan in 2021, and also in March 2021 and in 2020, and who hasn't been able to travel, will want to go now. And that 32 million people visited Japan, and I would probably say that the majority, possibly the majority, maybe about 15 million of those people would have wanted to travel during the cherry blossom. So if that's the time you want to go, please make up your mind, make a decision, and do book, and don't leave it too late. So that's the cherry blossom, as you can see. But of course, you know, as we said earlier, it's wonderful to visit Japan during the autumn, and this really compares favorably to the Boston autumn leaves, for example. Really, really stunning colors. And we're very fortunate, actually, in 2020 to have had an immense autumn in the UK as well, weren't we? We're really beautiful colors. So, but this is almost a magnified 20, 30, 40 times as beautiful. So hopefully you've enjoyed seeing and hearing a little bit about Japan. We have many other tours. We've got 11 tours that cover the Japan. We've got tours that cover the south. We've got tours that cover from north all the way to the south. We've got tours that enable you to use the bullet train all the way through from north to south. And of course, we've got some more experiential tours that enable you to see some of the more exclusive and immersive and sort of harder to get to parts of Japan as well. People also say, what's the physical rating of this tour? Well, for this particular tour, for Japan Uncovered Tour, our most popular tour, the physical rating is 1. So in essence, if you can get yourselves out of bed, this is the tour for you. So hope you enjoyed it, and hope to speak to you later. Many thanks.
John, thank you very much indeed for that. And I'm just now going to have a little word with John Booty, because I know, John, you have been. I haven't been to Japan. I'd absolutely love to go. I've one cherry blossom tree in my garden and I absolutely love it. And we've sent a lot of customers there during cherry blossom time, and they've said it's just absolutely stunning. Now, there's some questions have been sent in by email, but I know, John, you were going to maybe talk us through a couple of tours that you would recommend and give us an idea of prices. But I just sort of thought I might ask you one or two of these now. Yes, so another John is asking, what would the average size of the group be? And can you organise tours just for a family, or do you have to go with a larger party?
No, absolutely. I mean, obviously, when it's cherry blossom season, as John says, it's very popular. Now, the Japan Uncovered tour and the other tours I'll briefly cover off shortly, the maximum group size will be 28. We only carry 28 people and no more. When you're not in high season, the average group size then is probably about 15, 16. The most we will ever cover is 28. Now, if you wanted to do that as a private tour or just for you and your family, it's a special occasion, absolutely we can do that. And the beauty you get then is you get more time in particular destinations, or if you've seen it and you want to move on to the next thing, you can do so. Yeah. And Sandra, the answer to that question is yes. If they want to make it a private tour just for them and their family, contact you and your expert team, you contact us and we'll put it together for you.
Brilliant, because it is the sort of destination, John, that nobody really wants to do on their own. You really need to put the proper planning into it, get the itinerary right, and do it as a tour. It's not the sort of go alone fly drive type destination.
No, it's not, and it became very apparent to myself when I went. I was there last in June 2019, and I took a group of agents over. And the moment you come out of the airport, there's very little English spoken. Yes. Wonderful country, very clean, but there's hardly any English. So this is where you see the added value the National Escort brings to the table, because they do take care of everything. You never check in, you never check out. You don't have to worry about a thing. They do it all for you. And most of it's translating and answering questions you've got and making sure you've got everything you need. Yes. But it is, at least this way, can you imagine there'd be nothing worse than flying all that way, and then you come back and you say, wow, you sure lose picture, and somebody says, well, did you go and see the Sunjoy Temple in Tokyo?
Yes.
No, what's that? And then you find you're just around the corner and you've missed it. Yeah. You'd be gutted. So we really do think of everything, but we also remember it's a holiday. Yeah. So we take care of everything for you as well. Yes. You get to relax, you get free time, you also get time to shop.
Because, John, it is the sort of place that most people will do, that they'll do it once, but as you say, it's really important that you do it properly.
Absolutely, yeah, and get the most from your trip. I mean, it really is hassle-free. We include as much as possible, and you can chill out while you're doing it.
Yeah, okay, great. So just before we go through just a couple of your recommended itineraries, we're getting the usual sort of questions, John, through. Will you need to be vaccinated? When can you travel? So, of course, we don't know. We're kind of expecting, as we're hearing about when countries are going to open up, that even for airlines, it's going to be negative COVID tests or it's going to be vaccination certificates. But it is really a bit early to say, unless you know something that, about what regulations that Japan are going to have and when those are going to be in place.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I was on a call today with London and obviously our Tokyo office, and they were showing us the cherry blossom live, and it looked
Oh,
absolutely stunning. And that was one of the questions we were all debating. We haven't decided yet as a company. It might not even be our decision. It might be down to the airlines. It might be down to the Japanese government. But what we will do is we want to make sure everybody's safe. You know, that's always been our priority. Everybody's safe and well-being always has been. You know, everything we do is risk assessed, even more so now on everything on the tour. But whatever we do, we want people to feel comfortable. You know, it is about relaxation, and people are so desperate to travel now, Sandra, as are you and I. You know what I mean?
absolutely,
So that
absolutely.
decision hasn't been made. You know, we're not sure yet. It's ongoing, but like you say, it could be beyond our control. It could be what the airlines want to do and what the governments, the borders want to do.
Yes, so at the minute we're very confident about taking bookings for 2022 and
Oh,
very
absolutely.
hopeful about taking bookings for later on this year. But maybe, John, I let you do your bit now because I know you've been to Japan and this is sort of a couple of sample itineraries that are just a little bit different. So
Yeah. I mean, what I've got for you this evening is I've just picked out 4. John actually said we've got 11. We have got 11 amazing tours to Japan. After China, it's our top selling destination with the largest inbound tour operating to Japan from the UK, Ireland, and Australian market. In our groups, there will be Australians, New Zealanders, as well as obviously British and Irish people. And the one I've picked out here is Japan and the Scenic South, because the one John touched on is an amazing tour. It's the most popular selling tour of the 17 days Japan Uncovered, but it doesn't go into southern Japan. Japan's made up of 4 islands, and the one in the south is absolutely stunning. In actual fact, it's got some of the best beaches in the world. It will challenge any beach you'll find in the Caribbean. So what we've got here is the 13-day Japan and Scenic South. You can see the price there. It's a fully inclusive price. So that'd be your flights from Belfast or from all your meals, all your hotels, all your sightseeing. You literally turn up the airport with your tickets and go. And that's based on travel on the 1st of April 2022. So if you want to see the cherry blossom, that's the price you're going to pay. And that would be high season for Japan. Obviously, we have departures later on in the year, particularly for the fall and everything else. What you've got here is you're going to uncover the beauty of the lesser known island of Kyushu. We're known for its active volcanoes, hot springs, and stunning beaches. So you can see right in the southern tip, that's where we're going to fly into, and you'll spend your first 3 nights. We'll then go to explore Hiroshima, Kyoto, and Tokyo on Japan's largest island, Honshu. So as you can see there, it's very clearly marked out, a couple of nights in each. You'll get to see all the iconic sites. And John described on Japan Uncovered some of the experiences you'll love us. So on this one here, what you'll experience is you're going to visit the famous onsen's hot springs and resorts where you can sit and soak away all your aches and pains. So as I say, a little bit of R&R. It's not just a case of going and seeing all the attractions. You go cruise the picturesque Yangawa River on a dongbon, a pole boat, a perfect peaceful way to see such sights as Yankawa Castle. And you also go gaze over Mount Aso, Japan's largest volcano, with smaller volcanoes within its huge crater, one of which is still active. This is an amazing tour, it really is, and there's so much to see and do. So as you can see, slightly different from the 17 days Japan Uncovered. You're still going to get to ride the famous bullet train between Kyoto and Mount Fuji and Hakone and see Lake Ashi. You're not going to miss out there. But this is taking you to a more natural, beautiful side of Japan. Much warmer climate. And when the cherry blossom starts, it starts in the south here and works its way north. And we were told today by Tokyo that apparently the cherry blossom was much earlier this year and it was absolutely stunning. Actually, it's in Kyoto now, which it wouldn't normally be. It'd normally be sort of like second, third week in March up to the middle of April. So they're getting all the fabulous glory and everything now. But this is an amazing tour. It's 13 days. If you wanted to do an extension pre or post, you could do so, Sandra. But definitely, if you wanted to go and see the southern part of Japan, but also see the iconic sites on the mainland, you could do that. So moving on to the next one. Now, this is a 14-day tour. Journey through Japan. It's all right, I'm not going to repeat too much, but as you can see, this one starts in the north. So here we'll go flying to Sapporo, and then we'll go gradually work our way down. So we're going to the opposite end of the island now. We're starting in one of the other parts, and then we're going to finish in Osaka. So on this, you're going to see all the must-see sites on the island of Honshu, a day trip to Nikko. And this tour is varying landscapes. It journeys through the south from Hokkaido recovering the charmed cities of Sapporo, Onhara and Kashi. Here you get to try your hand at the art of handkerchief dyeing. You're also going to spend a night in a rikon, a centuries-old style guest house where you'll sleep on futons. I've slept on futons, and it's one of the best night's sleep I'll ever have. Dine with traditional food and relax in warm waters of an onsen. So again, you've got the hot springs, and they're fabulous. They really are. It's a great way to relax. Also, I'm a little bit of a whiskey drinker. I like my bourbon, and I love sake. So on this trip, you're going to visit a sake brewery. You'll see the traditional process of brewing the rice wine, and also trying a few sakes for yourself. It's absolutely stunning, this tour. Again, mixture of transport. As you can see, there's a few train journeys in this one, a few coach journeys. All the hotels, including the traditional Japanese one, is 4-star, and that's local 4-star graded. And the people are so friendly, it's so clean, and the scenery is absolutely stunning. So you're going to start here in the north in Sapporo, and that's where the Olympics were held. And it's got some of the best skiing in the world, particularly in the winter. You know, and again, a lot of experts, a lot of the gold medalists, they all go and train here all year round. We'll move on to our next one. Now, this one is really something different. If you would go in all that way and you want to see something different, then why not do China and Japan combined? This is a fabulous tour. Now, I've done both these tours separately. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to spend your first 12 days in China, flying to Beijing, and then you're going to finish off in Japan. So what you've got is, if you have somebody and they're looking to see all the major iconic sites these two countries have to offer, the must tick off bucket list, this is the trip for them. What you're going to do here is the ultimate tour for those wishing to combine all the very best of these two ancient nations. Join us on an incredible journey from Beijing to Tokyo by road, boat, rail and air on this epic 3-week tour. So in Beijing, you'll get to see Tiananmen Square, the Forbidden City, the Great Wall. Then we're going to do a bullet train. Yeah, you heard me right. Bullet train in China. They have their own bullet train, brand new. 2 hours, 40 minutes down to Xi'an, the ancient capital city. See the terracotta warriors. Visit the Muslim Quarter. Then we're going to go down to my favorite part of China, which is Guilin and Yongzhou, and see the cormorant fishermen. Do a half-day Li River cruise. Absolutely stunning. So peaceful and tranquil there. And then we're going to fly then to Shanghai, where you'll spend the last 2 nights. You'll see the Yew Gardens, you'll see the Bund lit up and all the architecture. Then we've got a short flight then from China to Osaka. Flight time just over 2 hours. And we're going to start off in Osaka, fabulous city. As John said, the food is amazing. You'll get to visit Nara, see all the famous theatres. You'll get to see all the great street food, do a little bit of shopping. Before we go to Murajima and see the floating Torrid Gate, Hiroshima for the post office. And then, as you can see, we work our way around by bullet train then to Yokohama, Hakone, Mount Fuji, Tokyo before you fly home. This is a fabulous trip. This one here, this is actually going on the 21st of March. So what you'll do here is you'll get to see China in all its glory, and it's stunning that time of year. It's early spring, before we then take you into Japan, and you go see the first signs of cherry blossom in Osaka. And that would be going 21st of March, 2022. We do include the Chinese visa on this one. No visa required for Japan, as long as you have a return flight ticket. You're not staying longer than 30 days.
John, those are brilliant.
It is. I'll tell you what, Sandra, I'm sat here now and I'm just dying to get away. I really am. Last but not least, and this is the most iconic trip of them all, Japan by rail. Now, John alluded to this. We are the only tour operator in the UK and the Irish market that offers something like this. It's 21 days. It's absolutely stunning, and it's an all-encompassing journey through Japan, traveling mainly by bullet train, taking the highlights of the 3 main islands, which you can see there. So we'll go flying to Fukawa to start with for 2 nights, see everything in the south, gradually work our way north up to Sapporo. You're going to see Kyushu, Honshu, and Hokkaido, experience ancient traditions and modern Japan's unique charm. The experiences you're going to love on this is, you're under the guidance of a skilled instructor, try your hand at making maple leaf buns, a famous confectionery for over 100 years. Learn about the role of the Masu Sake cup, learn how to make your own sake cup and bring it home as a souvenir, and also learn how to make sushi plus so much more. I mean, this trip is really an iconic trip. It's absolutely fascinating. It's definitely on my bucket list. It really would, because on this trip here, you're going to see everything Japan's got to offer and more. it's selling really well, this one. Out of all of our Japan trips, Japan Uncovered 17 days is our most popular one. And in cherry blossom season, we've got one trip going almost every day on Japan Uncovered. Japan by rail, we started off with 3 dates, and we've now actually added more. And this one's based, as I say, this one's going on the 28th of March 2022. So again, you're going to see the cherry blossom in the south, and you're going to follow it all the way up till you finish in Sapporo in the north.
Brilliant. And of course, John, then starting tomorrow, there is an offer on all of these tours.
There is, yes. It starts on, and it's not an April Fool's. It starts on the 1st of April, runs to the 30th of April. And what we're doing to celebrate the cherry blossom, on all Japanese tours traveling up to the end of 2023, we're giving a £450 discount per person. And that's flying either from Belfast or from Dublin. Absolutely fabulous. And if you're a solo traveller, please don't panic. We haven't forgotten about you. What we've done there is the single supplements, we're going to give you 50% discount. So that means on some of the single supplements, you're saving up to £700.
That's
which
brilliant.
is absolutely brilliant. And you get your same room type as everybody else. So we're not sticking you in a little box room in the dungeon or anything like that.
That's fantastic, John. So that starts tomorrow and that runs for booking until the end of April.
It does
So
indeed.
I have a couple more questions. I have a question from me, first of all. So you and John mentioned about the hotel accommodation being of a local 4-star. So when you say that, does that mean similar to a 4-star here? Does it mean better? Not just as luxurious?
No, I tell you what, it means it's exactly the same. But what we do, Sandra, is in some of the countries we go to, we use the Hiltons and the Marriotts, which is great, but they're very westernized. What we want to do, and what the feedback is from most of our customers, they want to experience a more traditional Japanese style. That's why we use the local chains, and they are brilliant. And I've stayed in a few. And I tell you what, to be quite honest, I'm not just saying this, they're classed as a 4-star, some of them had grade 5. If it was over here, I would say it was a 5-star. The standard of service in Japan is second to none. Even the taxi drivers, they wear uniforms and white gloves. I've never seen anything like it. And there's no litter on the streets. There's no bins. There's no nothing. It is prestige. It really is. And they, even though there's very little English, they're all bowing and smiling at you and everything. It really is out of this world.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. And Julia's asking, do you get much time to relax on the tours? You'd mentioned about the beautiful beaches. Would you get time to relax, or are the tours very busy?
The tours, the itineraries, obviously you're going all that way. You want to see as much as possible, but we do build in free time. So what we'll do is when you're in the group, when we'll be showing you around, you will then get time to go off and shop, go and have a coffee, try the local street food. And I would definitely recommend trying the local street food. John Wall wasn't kidding. And I like my food. I was eating what I was getting during the day, but I was still eating the street food. It was fabulous. With regard to visiting the beaches, what I would do there is, if I'm honest with you, if you're going to finish in the south or start in the south, why not go a day or two earlier? We can do that for you. Go and chill out and acclimatize and actually, get familiar with it and then join the group. And I promise you will not be disappointed.
Brilliant, because you and I actually chatted earlier, and given the amount of cruises that we do, and there's cruises in and around Japan, so you can also build these tours pre or post cruise.
Absolutely. And if you wanted to, Sandra, and obviously I know your team very well, they're very experienced. If you just wanted to do 3 or 4 days at the end of the cruise, we'll be more than happy to assist you and your customers with that. Again, just contact us, tell us what you want, and we'll do it for you.
Great. Okay. And final question from Ian, just to say, what would, do the tours cover all ages, or what's the average age of the people on tours?
Average age on the tours are about 55, Sandra. I mean, we take anybody from the age of 12 upwards as part of our group, but the average age is about 55. Yes. And it's a good mix. It really is a good mix. And the camaraderie and the banter and the fun is amazing, because you're all there for the same thing, to see this amazing country and learn about its history and the culture. It really is. I can't recommend it enough. I know you all think I'm biased by saying it, but I've been with Wendy Wu now 6 years, and it's fabulous. It really is. Even when I go away, it's a holiday to me. So that says something.
Well, as I said, the feedback that we've had from any of our customers that have been, and I know that some are on tonight, has just been outstanding. So, John, look, a big thanks to you and to John Ward for joining us this evening. We really appreciate you giving up your time. Just to let everyone know that we'll send you out a copy of tonight's recording, and we can follow up with some of those offers and ideas of prices of the tours. Just a reminder that whilst we're still in lockdown, working from home. So we have a small team working from home, and they're available if you phone any of your local Oasis offices between 10 and 4, between Monday and Saturday. Your call will be answered. The only day we're taking as a holiday is Easter Monday. Tomorrow night, we're doing an evening on East Africa and Zanzibar. So if you want to join us for that, just contact us tomorrow and we'll send you the Zoom link. But thanks again to everybody for joining us. Thanks again to you, John, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much, everyone. Take care.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Bye.